All right, so welcome Nick and Faya and Fine and Adi and Gemma. I'm happy to see that you made it on. Welcome everyone, and welcome to everyone who's going to be watching us live either now or later. All right, finish my elite power juice there, and we're gonna jump right to it. So welcome to this evening's, I call it Blabber Brain. It's a direct translation of the Hebrew version I made. This was inspired by Dr. Ryan Siedemark's Brain Chat. So I kind of did a direct translation into Hebrew, and it kind of also translates to English as Blabber Brain. So I just made a direct translation. And we are going to talk about the vagal system and the polyvagal theory. This is going to be a short, practical webinar. I am going to go through it. I am going to give you some tools, some simple things that you can do to make a difference today. And I hope that you can take this and play with it. And excuse me. And if you're professionals and you're not using this, I strongly recommend you start using these simple strategies with your patients. They can and will make a huge difference if done daily. So I would like to start by saying thank you for joining me. If you're here live and if you're watching on the group, or if you will be watching later, you've taken your time to listen to what I have to say. I appreciate that, and I appreciate your time. So thank you for that. Yes, so thank you, Adi. Yes, it is recorded. And like I said, it is also being streamed to two sites for each brain community on Facebook. So if you're not members of that, I'm writing it down here. You can just copy that, two sides for each brain. You can go there and join and watch that live later, or wait until I post it on YouTube, and then I will post it on my Facebook page and on Two Sides for Each Brain group when that YouTube recording is ready. So, my name is Dr. Omer Hirsch. For those of you who do not know me, I've been married for almost 16 years. I have about 5 weeks to figure out what I'm going to get my wife. I do have 3 boys and a girl, and again with the picture that doesn't want to present itself, but that was my family right there. I am a chiropractor, and I've been specializing in functional neurology since 2009. I have been a fellow of the International Board on Functional Neurology and Neurodevelopment on Childhood Neurodevelopmental Disorders since 2018. I was also the Neurologist of the Year award. I also was the Neurologist of the Year for the International Association of Functional Neurology and Rehabilitation for 2018. I've been lecturing for over 10 years. I have several businesses that I do. I'm a co-founder of Amaze Labs, which is a high-tech company, and I'm a co-founder of Hopeful Brain. My co-founders are here with us, and I'm very proud. We're going to launch that next month, so watch out for that. And I'm a proud member of several organizations, which I'm not going to go through right now. So this is me in a very short brief. So now you know me. We're friends. You can call me by my first name. I can call you by your first name. It's all good. We're not strangers anymore. Let's talk about stress and relaxation, because that's what we want to understand here. Because if we understand this kind of dance between stress and relaxation, then we can understand a lot of things about what's happening in our body in general and in specific situations. And I'll go through a few of them in a few minutes. So we have 2 systems in our body that coexist, and they really are partners in a dance, and they're always dancing together. Now, it doesn't have, in any dance, I don't know if you've ever danced in a couples kind of dance, it doesn't work if one of the dancers just stands there. You can't just stand there. You have to do something, otherwise it looks ridiculous and it just doesn't work. This is also true in the body. It doesn't happen that one of these systems works and the other one doesn't. What does happen is there's always one of them that's more dominant than the other. They cannot both be dominant. And again, going back to the dance analogy, if you've ever seen a couple when both partners try to lead, it just looks bad, doesn't work, and they never get the points. All right? They never win, what's it called? Dancing with the Stars. They always get the worst comments. So one of these systems has to be the lead. And when it's leading, the other one has to be the one taking the back seat. All right? So it's like a seesaw. That's why I like this picture of a seesaw here, because when one of these is up, the other one has to be down. Now, one of these systems, or the one half of the system, is called the sympathetic system, and the other part is called the parasympathetic system. Para means next to, okay, or in Latin. So both of these together form what we call the autonomous nervous system, because we don't have conscious control over this system, over these two systems. These systems are in charge of our heart rate, our pulse, our breathing rate, or let's call it base breathing rate, because we can't control our breathing. They control our respiration, our sweating. They control bladder function. They control sexual organ function. They control intestinal function. They control our blood vessels, so our blood pressure. They control our some of our glands. They control our like when our hairs. I don't know how you say it in English. When your hairs kind of come up, when you have chills, all right, when you get goosebumps. This is all autonomic nervous system function. Okay. Now, every one of these things that I've just described has effects on different functions of our body and our brain. Okay? They have effect and control over our thyroid gland and our metabolism. They have effect over our immune system, a very powerful effect on our immune system. So these two systems, while we have no conscious control over them, they are extremely important to our lives. Okay? They are very, very basic. Right? Every basic animal has these two aspects of function. So now, the sympathetic system, like you see, is also called the fight or flight system. This is our stress system. This is the system that's supposed to keep us alive at any cost. All right? This is the survival system. It's extremely important. We would not survive without it. Right? When babies are born, their sympathetic tone is relatively very high because they are in survival mode. All right? Their heart rate is up. Their breathing is up. Their tone is extremely, they have a fetal position still. So their flexor tone is high, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? The more we grow, the more we create control over the tone of these systems. Okay? The more we grow, the more we are able to modulate these systems. We can't control them per se, but we can modulate them. Okay? We can affect how quickly they react. We can affect how quickly we get out of one situation and go to the other. Now, because I don't want to, I would have liked to make this, a conversation, but if we go through it, it's going to kind of make things a little complicated. So excuse me if I'm not doing this in the form of a question and answer, but kind of answering my own question. But I would have liked to ask you guys, what is the system? Which system is the one that's supposed to be active most of the time? Right? Some people would say it would be the sympathetic system because we have to be ready to react. They would be wrong, right? The parasympathetic system is the one that we want active most of the time. Not all the time, most of the time. There's a great book, I think it's a book. It's called Why Zebras Don't Have Ulcers, okay? And the basic idea is very simple. When zebras run away from the tiger, lion, whatever is chasing them in the savannah, they are in extreme sympathetic mode. As soon as the chase is over, their sympathetic tone drops and their parasympathetic tone goes up and they just stop and they start eating, right? I don't know about you, but when I'm done doing a sprint, I can't eat anything for like half an hour, at least, if not more, all right? It depends on how bad the workout was, right? But if you just did a very, very extreme workout and you're very high in your sympathetic tone, you can't eat anything. Right? You can't digest anything right now. You can't do anything that's parasympathetic in nature because you're very, very high on your sympathetic tone. Okay? So with zebras, it doesn't happen. One of the problems with high sympathetic tone for a long period of time is that it actually damages our body, and you can see this in the slide, right? We can have a malfunction or an imbalance of our immune system, which can lead to allergies or infections. Right? Allergies and infections are two opposite functions of our immune system. Allergies is when we have too much activation of our immune system, and when we have too many infections is because we have too low of a function of our immune system. So it can just kick our immune system out of balance. It can create a porous, okay, digestive system or a leaky gut, okay, or permeable gut. Because if we are in sympathetic tone too long, then the parasympathetic system isn't working, and the blood supply and the nervous control of our guts goes down to the point where we're actually starting to damage the lining of our gut, which leads to leaky gut, and that can lead to allergic reactions, to food intolerabilities, to IBS, to IBDs, to other problems, to neurological problems sometimes, to cerebellar problems, to basal ganglionic problems, to cortical problems. All right. We can have thyroid issues. We can have reproduction and sexual function problems and more. We can have fatigue. We can have pain. We can have anxiety and insomnia and, of course, heart disease and lung issues and metabolic difficulties. If you're trying to lose weight and you're in sympathetic tone, forget about it. You're not going to lose weight. You're not going to lose abdominal fat. You're not going to. If you're trying to get in shape and you're constantly in stress, forget about it. You're not going to do it. It's just, if you're trying to change your habits, if you're trying to move from where you are today into someone who is a healthier person, okay, and it doesn't matter what health issues you're trying to resolve, be it being overweight or dealing with an attention issue or cognitive decline, or a traumatic brain injury, or it doesn't matter what you're trying to overcome. If you're constantly in stress mode, if you're constantly in high sympathetic tone, forget about it. You're not going to be able to do it because you're in survival mode. You cannot rehabilitate and you cannot recuperate when you're in survival mode. Right? Another name for the parasympathetic system is rest and digest, but it's also rest and recuperate. Okay, so what we want is to create a situation where our body is in parasympathetic mode for as long as we can. This is going to lead to two outcomes. One, we're going to be able to rest and recuperate whenever we need to. We're going to be able to rehabilitate whatever we need to rehabilitate. We are going to be able to change our habits, make better choices, make better decisions, have our functions up here, the cortical functions function at a higher level. Because when we're in sympathetic mode, the one who's leading the parade is not our cortical frontal brain, it's our amygdala. It's our fear centers. It's our hypothalamus. Okay, it's not the human high function new prefrontal cortex, which is doing all the thinking and the emotion meaning love and planning and all those complex things. It's the part of the brain that wants to keep us alive. So if we want to make complex things, if we want to thrive, we have to be in parasympathetic mode. But we need to be able to go into sympathetic mode when we need to. All right? If someone's attacking me, I need to be able to go into sympathetic mode. If I'm going outside to do a high intensity interval training, I need to be in sympathetic mode for that interval, right? For that high intensity interval. Okay? If I want to have sex, I need to be able to be in sympathetic mode for at least part of the time. All right? Just for the really, really important part at the end. All right? Most of it is parasympathetic. If I want to, you know what? If I want to wake up in the morning and get out of bed, I need to be able to have a sympathetic burst to up my blood pressure so that I don't pass out as soon as I start to stand up. So there is importance in going into sympathetic mode, but it has to be in small, accurate, precise bursts, just like with the zebra, and going right back into the parasympathetic upregulation. Okay? I hope that concept is clear to everybody, because if it's not, then the rest of this webinar is kind of be lost on you. We want to be parasympathetic if we can, for as long as we can, but we want to be able to be sympathetic when we need to. The problem is that most of us live our lives in sympathetic mode, be it because we work too much, be it because we have a high-stress job, be it because we don't know how to handle our relationships, be it because we have a brain imbalance that's causing us to be constantly creating stress hormones, be it because we have an injury, be it because we have a financial problem, be it because we have a health issue, doesn't matter. Or just, because we live in Israel and sometimes, it's a stressful place to live sometimes. But, everybody's in the world is stressful sometimes. I'm not belittling anybody. Bottom line is, most of us live our lives in sympathetic mode because we collect stress all the time through our way of life. And so we have to do things actively, artificially, to increase our parasympathetic tone. All right? So when we say parasympathetic, most of it, not all of it, but most of it relates and revolves around a nerve named the vagus nerve. All right? You can see it, it's the yellow one here. So you can see it starts in the brainstem. All right? It starts in the brainstem, goes out of the skull, and then it goes down. It innervates our hearts, it innervates our lungs, it innervates our intestine and all of our abdominal organ. It innervates, it has effects on our immune system, it has effects on our reproductive system, etc., etc. It's called vagus because of the word vagabond, because it starts in one place and then it goes, all over. It doesn't go to one place. All right, it really goes all over the torso, and about 80 to 85% of the information going through this nerve actually go up into the brainstem. All right, so when we want to increase our vagal tone or our parasympathetic tone, we can use the vagal system to upregulate our parasympathetic tone. If we increase our vagal tone, we increase our parasympathetic tone. All right, so the easiest way for us to tap into the parasympathetic system is by using the vagus nerve. All right, And because 80 to 85% of what's going on in this nerve is actually afferent, so incoming information, we can do a lot of things to use this to activate the system. All right? All right. All right. So the polyvagal theory was suggested by Stephen Porges. And I like it. I like it very much. I like it very much because, first of all, it makes total sense. And second, it explains so many things that we haven't been able to explain. It also relates in a very, again, logical way to what we know about primitive reflexes. I am not going to go through primitive reflexes today, maybe with the exception of one that I will mention. But I do want to go through the theory so that you guys kind of understand the concept. The polyvagal theory states that when a human is developing in the womb and, after, there are stages in which his autonomic system is developing. The initial phase, very, very early on, right? You can see it as early as 8 or 9 weeks gestation, all right? So even before the first trimester is over, you can see the beginning of a dorsal vagal system, all right? So the dorsal vagal system is a remnant of reptilian responses of a freeze response. All right. The concept of the freeze response is to very rapidly decrease our function, to minimize energy consumption so that we can play dead, so that a predator will not find us. Okay? If we can play dead and not move and not breathe and not blink and not make any signs of life for a long enough period, then that predator is just going to keep on going or not recognize us. All right? However, we do want to keep a certain level of function, so it's not complete loss. Okay? But it is decreasing. But in our lifestyle, we will see, we obviously don't have a complete freeze response today. What we do have are reactions that have that effect, if you would. So helplessness, I can't do anything, right? Depression, all I want to do is sit and do nothing, all right? Disassociation, we can see that with victims of rape or attacks or terror attacks, or even sometimes people who have been in car accidents or extreme events. Sometimes we get this disassociation because our brain shuts down, literally shuts down so that we can survive, right? Shame is associated with this, right? The feeling of being trapped. If you look at the right side of the slide here, you can see the things that are increased and the things that are decreased. So heart rate is decreased and blood pressure goes down and muscle tone goes down and facial expressions go down. Sexual responses go down, immune response goes down, all right? But fuel storage and insulin activity and endorphins that help numb us down and raise our pain threshold, all those come up. So again, if you want to be changing your life, if you want to be healthier, if you want to be losing weight, if you want to be controlling your blood sugar, you cannot be in your freeze response dorsal vagal I can't position. Now, around the second trimester, our sympathetic tone or sympathetic system starts to be to develop, and this is the system that says, yes, I can do something. It's not that I can't do anything. I can do something. I can run or I can fight. I don't know if I'll win, but I'll fight. All right. And if I don't think I can fight, I'll just run away. But I'll survive. I'm not going to play that and hope for the best. I'm actually going to do something. All right. But again, if this lasts for too long, now I'm always worried. I'm always concerned. I'm always afraid. All right. So this fear and anxiety and panic and worrying. And when I'm in this position, my blood pressure goes up and my heart rate goes up and my adrenaline goes up. My pupil size is increased so I can see more. All right. But I don't store any fuel. Obviously, when we work out, we burn fuel. We don't store it so much. All right. But our digestion decreases. All right. Our salivation decreases. Our rationale ability, our ability to use our frontal brain to make smart, rational decisions. Our immune response goes down. Very early on, it goes up a little bit and then it goes down. All right. So this is your dorsal vagal, and then your sympathetic. And then for the rest of our lives, really, we develop our ventral vagal system. And this is the part of the system that actually allows us to engage with our society, to engage with other people, to control how we react, not just fight or flight. There's a whole lot more in between, right? I can have a conversation with you. I can maybe argue with you. I can even fight with you if you know, we're friends or whatever. The moment we get to that point where I'm in my survival mode, then it's fight or flight. But, you know, those of us who have siblings, we have fought with people without being in fight or flight, right? We fight with them and we laugh, right? Because it's actually play. It's actually part of our social engagement, right? It's joy, right? When we fight, like when I fight with my almost 14-year-old son, it's not a fight or flight kind of, you know, it's joyful, it's playful, it's being in the present, both of us at the same place at the same time and just being with each other, right? It's being mindful of what's happening. It's having compassion to other people. It's having curiosity towards the world. It's having openness to new ideas. Even if I don't agree with you, I'm going to listen to you. All right. We have to be in that social engagement, ventral vagal place so that we can inhibit that sympathetic system and that dorsal vagal freeze response. All right. So I hope you understand why I like this polyvagal theory, because it provides us with an understanding of how we function in the world. Okay. Most of us live somewhere between the social engagement and the sympathetic tone. That's why you see that little wave here. Most of us do this. I would like for us to have this little bell curve going into the freeze response, but flip it over. I would like us to be mostly social engagement, ventral vagal, and sometimes tap into that sympathetic system when we need to. That's what I would like us to have. Okay? Great. Let's keep going. So what can you do to increase your parasympathetic tone, your vagal tone? All good so far. Thanks, Joe. So what can you do? Aggressive gurgling. So I didn't go through this. Maybe I should have. You know what? Let's go back for a second to the vagal nerve. So one of the basic structures that the vagus nerve activates is our pharynx, so the back part of our throat. Okay, the back part of our throat is activated by our vagal nerve. So anything that is associated with the back part of our throat is going to demand activation from the vagal nerve. The other part that has very high innervation from the vagal nerve is our intestine and our internal organs and the fascia, all right, the tissue that covers everything in our gut and in our stomach and our torso. So all of those are heavily associated and heavily innervated by the vagal nerve. Okay, so now that we know that, all we have to do is actually activate those things. So aggressive gurgling. You don't have to take a lot of water. It can be just a little bit, but then gurgle as loud as you can, as silly as it is, for as long as you can. And if you start tearing, great. That means you did it. Okay, that means you did it. You got to the point where your parasympathetic system really kicked in. Okay, you don't cry when you're running away from a tiger. You cry when you can actually stop and start to realize what just happened. That's when you start crying. Okay, so crying is more of a parasympathetic response, if you will. All right. So aggressive gurgling, just go for as long as you can. You can do it several times a day. I would strongly recommend gurgling before any meal. All right. So a few minutes before you eat, go to the bathroom, gurgle, and then 2 or 3 times a day in addition to that. Another way to activate that area of your throat is singing or humming. So with all the meditation techniques, you always have that Why is that? Because that's a very deep throat activation, right? You're using the back part of your throat. Again, with singing, if you want talking as well, but singing is more powerful because it involves more structures. Okay. Cold showers, for whatever reason you need to use them, but cold showers are also very good for parasympathetic activation, especially after your workout. I don't like it. I don't do cold showers, but I will turn the water, like I'll start warm and I will turn them cold towards the end sometimes. If you want to be very aggressive, you can do things like coffee enemas, but I wouldn't go there if I don't have to. Massaging or vibration to the abdomen. So you can take just your hand and massage your abdomen. It's better if someone else does it, right? But you can do it to yourself. You can take a simple massager, or you can take a more professional tool like a Resimax. If you don't know what a Resimax is, you can feel free to contact me. Or if someone invited you on this and they know what a Resimax is, then you can contact them. It's an excellent tool for vagal activation. A lot of what it was developed for was for vagal activation, and they have some great protocols. But a simple way to do it is to just use the Resimax on the either the white setting or the actually any other settings would work. But I would do on the white setting and just putting on your tummy and just waiting, just breathing, just letting it go for about 10-15 minutes. All right, you can do that more than once a day, but once a day is a pretty good start. All right. So massaging or vibration to the abdomen is a very, very good way to activate your vagal system. Stimulation to the cymbioconcha of the ear. So this is your cymbioconcha right there. Is that clear enough? I was told last time that I wasn't clear enough. So this is your cymbioconcha right there. See this area here? This is exclusively activated, innervated by the vagus nerve. Now, this area is partially innervated by the vagus nerve, so you will get some vagal activation if you do stimulation to this part. But for this area right here, this will be exclusively for the vagal nerve. Okay? You can do it with your finger. You can do it with a laser pointer. You can do it with a more professional laser, like an Avant laser or a Neuro Solutions laser, which is it's the same laser, or any other laser that you have. You can use acupressure. You can do acupuncture, so needles. You can do I don't know if you have any other ideas, then go ahead and use them. Okay, you can actually take the Resimax and put it in there. Some people don't like it because it's loud for them. You can use a vibration, music tuner, like a 128 hertz tuner, and just put it right there. Sorry. All right, so these are different ways you can stimulate the cymbioconcha. You can do it for anywhere between 30 seconds to 5 minutes. and just be aware of what's going on. Like if you suddenly have an urge to, I don't know, go to the bathroom or throw up, then you probably overdid it. Next time, do less. All right. What else can you use? Mindfulness. Mindfulness is great because mindfulness actually improves your brain's ability to sense your body. This is happening mostly in an area in the brain called the insular cortex. And a lot of the information from the vagal nerve finds its way into the insular cortex. So when we practice mindfulness on a daily basis, we actually improve that communication, and then any stimulation we'll do to the vagal system will actually activate that insular cortex more and will allow us to control our autonomic system in a more effective way. Okay? Moving on, so jumping on a trampoline or full body vibration. So jumping on a trampoline, what it does, you don't have to jump high, okay? It can be very basic jumps. So what happens is all of your internal organs are actually jumping inside your body, and they're actually pulling on the ligaments, on the fascia that's holding them in place. And we just said that those have branches that go up to the vagal system and up to the insula. So that's one way. Full body vibration. You can use that in many ways, but you can use it for a vagal activation as well. I use a home vibration unit called the company name is Vibration Therapeutics. If you want to know more about it, just again talk to me and I will help you figure it out. I do know they ship globally, and it's a relatively inexpensive one compared to the thousands of dollars that you can find online. So full body vibration is pretty cool. Balancing your brain. So we're not going to go into balancing your brain today, but obviously this is what I do every day in my office. This is what we're going to do in Hopeful Brain. This is what Amaze Labs and Amaze Brain, which is what we're doing, the application I'm building is all about. This is functional neurology. So when your brain is not balanced, one side of the brain is functioning at a higher level than the other, like I said before, you get more release of stress hormones. Your autonomic system goes out of whack, goes out of balance, and then you are usually more sympathetic. So you should definitely find a practitioner, a professional somewhere near you that can help you make sure that your brain is balanced and kind of make sure that happens throughout your life, especially if things happen, but even if, just life happens, periodically going in and checking in, making sure your brain is working at its optimum and both sides are working in a synchronized way can go a long way to helping you control your sympathetic system. There are many different ways to increase and improve your parasympathetic tone and your vagal tone. Okay, you can use a TENS unit. You can use magnetic resonance. You can use neurofeedback. You can use eye exercises. You can use light. You can use sometimes people need Erlen lenses to solve their sympathetic tone. Sometimes people, you can use different tongue stimulation. You can use etheric oil, essential oils. I use an oil called Calm by a brand called Prime. Again, if you want to know more about it, just reach out to me and I'll let you know. There are many ways to tap into that system. Okay, you can use NLP and guided memory. Guided imagery, guided imagery, it's called in English, I believe. So there are many ways to relax. There are many ways to calm down. There are many ways to bring your body more into that parasympathetic tone. I just gave you a few simple ways that you can do it at home with your kids, with your patients, with your parents, with yourself to increase that that parasympathetic tone. All right. So in here, you can find almost anywhere, any way to reach me. And I can see that Gemma said something about the ear. On the ear, I was taught that to massage under the earlobe. So again, anywhere in the ear will have some sort of activation or stimulation to the vagal nerve. Like I said, the top part, the bottom part, they all have some input into the vagal system, but that Simbaconca area is just that. So if you put focused stimulation into that area, you're going to get much more robust effect onto the vagal system. All right? And for those of you who are aware or do know how to kind of tell right brain weakness from left brain weakness, I would suggest starting with the side of the weaker brain. So if you have a right brain weakness, I would go with the right ear. Okay? As for the ear stimulation. But if you don't know, then you can just do both sides. All right. Nick says that he believes that cold showers did helped him a lot with ectopic heartbeats that he had. I'm happy to hear that. I have no doubt. So let me. I'm just gonna stop the sharing here for a second. If you want to open your cameras, feel free to do so. I do want to say a couple things. One, if you've noticed, one of the addresses said main office in transition. So I was in a car accident a few months ago, and I have still not gone back to seeing patients. And so I had to close the office that I was seeing patients out of, and I have not opened a new one yet. When I will post a new address, and you will have it, and you can send people my way, or just come yourselves. So that was about that. The other thing, what was the other thing? Sorry, there is a question by Emma. Is it not to be opposite ear from the side, right brain weakness, work on the left side? Yes, I would think so as well. That's what I thought in the beginning. But for the vagal nerve activation, it seems to work better on the same side and not the opposite side. Okay, because, all right, so I did say I'm going to talk about one of the reflexes. So one of the reflexes I wanted to mention was the Moreau reflex. All right, the Moreau reflex is the startle response for the baby, right, when it goes like that. Okay, which is really fun to do for babies. It's kind of funny, and yeah, you kind of go like that, and then they jump, or you kind of, it's kind of fun. But when it's not integrated properly, then they're actually remaining in that startle response mode. So one of the first things I do when people come to me and they have a hyperactive sympathetic system is I'm going to check if they still have a Moreau reflex. And if they do have a Moreau reflex, we're going to start working with their Moreau reflex to integrate it. Okay, so that's one of the first things I want to do while I do all the other things that I told you. Okay, I think I have a video on YouTube about Moreau reflex, and if I don't, I'll probably put one on pretty soon. But again, if you don't know how to check for the Moreau reflex, then just either contact me or reach out to the person who kind of invited you here, and I'm sure they can help you with that. Excuse me. The reason it's so important is the Moreau reflex actually has aspects of it associated with all of the parts of the brainstem. The vagus nerve is in the lower part of the brainstem, in the medulla. But the Moreau reflex actually develops and has effects all over. And well, I'm sorry. Let me just check for a second. What was the other question? I forgot. I went into this little tantrum here. Okay. Sorry. So the heartbeats that Nick was talking about. So when you go today, when you go and do a CPR course, all right, one of the things that we've heard about, that if you feel like you're going through a heart attack, try to cough. All right, try to cough. It may save your life. And when I went through my CPR course recently, the explanation was simple. When we cough, we're actually activating we're increasing our abdominal pressure, and we're actually activating the parasympathetic system. And we're decreasing the demand from the heart, and we may actually bring our body into a more parasympathetic state, decrease the oxygen demand, and may give the person a few more minutes before help arrives so that they can actually survive. Now, if we don't go to that catastrophic position or situation of heart attack, we can go into simpler situation of different heart dysfunctions, okay, like ectopic heartbeats. And now if I increase my parasympathetic tone, it makes perfect sense that I may actually be able to now control my heart rate better. Okay, my heart function better. Okay, so that's cool that those cold showers helped you. I'm sure that if you, first of all, if you still have that condition in some way, then I would add some of the other things that we suggested, and thank you for that share. So again, if anyone wants to open that their camera and microphone, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. If not, again, this is being live streamed to our Two Sides for Each Brain community, so you can go to that live stream and just ask questions in the comment section. Just make sure to tag me, Omer Hirsch DC, so that I know that you commented there, so that I won't miss it. And that's all I have for you today. I hope it was an interesting ride. Thanks, Gemma, for the comment. Thanks, Nick. And so, yeah, thanks for joining me tonight. Have a wonderful evening. Activate your parasympathetic system so that you're healthier, so you can make better choices, so you can change your life and be healthier. If you want to lose weight, if you want to change your cognitive function, if you want to just be younger in brain, in mind, if you want to be younger for longer, then make sure you're parasympathetic, or in other words, be like a zebra. All right, guys, have a good night. Cheers.